Hello. Today we're talking about awakening and different symptoms and experiences and ways that people experience awakening. So it's going to be a little bit different for everybody. And we were having a conversation yesterday, or maybe 2 days ago, where I was telling him, I didn't have a moment that it was like the moment that I saw things differently. It was more like in chunks of time. And I'm 38 now. So it's, from different sections of my life, I felt like a little like just seeing the world differently. So when I was talking to Eduardo about that, he said something that he's told me before about his own experience of awakening or seeing things differently. So I just want to hear him talk about that and share that with you guys. So, what would you say was sort of your perspective on the way I'm looking at it is like there's what everybody sees and we agree upon a collective reality. And then there's like this, I've been calling it the elephant in the room, and I keep talking about the elephant in the room, where it's like this unseen reality and how those interact. So for you, how would you describe?
For me, uh, it's hard to explain. Is I was the opposite in a way. Like I always could see the something else, what everybody calls like, the intuitive element, the energetic element, the ethereal element of the world. That to me was always just as present as the physical world as a child, growing up and seeing and interacted it, with it. I remember, 5, 6 years old, just keeping my eyes open in the middle of the night, just pitch dark, and just seeing the whole flow of, I call it the fabric of the flow of the universe, just spinning around and dancing, and I could just see all the colors just going in and out and doing this thing. And for me, it was very, very normal, just like awesome. And then I could see, I would put my hand in front of me, and then I would see things between myself and the hand, like energy spinning and waves moving. So I knew that it couldn't have been just me and the hand, that this can't be it, because I'm seeing that there's something occupying the space. And it wasn't until later on in life when I started, communicating a little bit about it, that I realized that people weren't checking that out.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case.
Right. Wait, so how do you go from, because I've heard people say something similar to your experience, that they already just see it. How do you even bring that up?
Why, I didn't. I would just, in conversation, I would realize that, I can do something else that this not happening. It's just like it's just like singing. You know that you can sing, but some people have a hard time singing. I knew I could feel this, and I knew they couldn't. So little by little, what I did was study about it and learn about it and read about it a little bit. And then I went from a period of between, let's say, 14 and 18, 19, or 13 and 19, where that was gone. I was just, drinking and smoking and cigarettes, and, I kind of disconnected from that because it was an age of, what do you call, hormonal maturity. What do you call that?
Oh, when boys have their puberty?
Yeah, puberty.
Yeah.
In that puberty time, it just kind of all like shut down, and it was like, because it wasn't cool. I couldn't talk about it. I couldn't be about it. As a child, I could, keep that to myself, and it was cool. But when it came to like relating to people, I just had to shut it down. It wasn't until I started smoking herbs and I started doing, psychedelics, that it all just like pop right back but in magnify. And then I was like, oh, here this is what was happening. And then I studied more, and then it's been a play of experience and knowledge, and experience and knowledge. And but there wasn't I didn't have that like, oh, look at this. This is great. It was just like, this is it's always been there.
Okay, so then the other thing is like everybody has a different way. Like I still don't, I mean, I'll have moments where I might get a sense of something with my eyes, but mine is like inside, you know, like I call it seeing with my eyes closed. And then I'll see, you know, sometimes it'll be like a concept, which is like, how do you even see a concept? But it'll be like a play or a, you know, it's mostly when I do body work that I'm able to kind of perceive that. And then I really feel like, okay, there's this whole other element that isn't talked about, and it's just almost a feeling. There was that movie called the Keeper or something like that. The Giver. I was telling everybody to watch because they really displayed that thing. Well, what do we even call that anyway? Where it's like
Call it the unseen, on the
unseen.
or the unphysical, the non-physical element of the universe. There's the physical elements and the non-physical elements. That's pretty much the, you know, how I break it down. And every physical element has non-physical properties, and all the non-physical properties have a representation on the physical world.
So then, when I'm working with somebody, and I think the reason it's more when I'm working with somebody is because I go into that space. Like I always go into that space before I start doing work. So then I go in there and then I'm asking a question. I always have a question and I'm open to receive an answer. So the body, I feel like I get answers. And so it's an unseen, so like they have an ailment of some sort. And then this is the energy that is around that sort of ailment in a way. So then when we're communicating with people, I remember having earlier when I knew you in the beginning of 2012 when I met you, having this sense of the feeling or the emotion being louder than what was being spoken. So, but we're not trained to pick that up. We're not trained to feel that. You know what I mean?
Biologically, we are.
Biologically, we are.
Socially, we're not.
Yeah.
But yes, of course, we are biologically disposed to having that skill, because it's part of our sense. It's a sense that we have that is required for survival. So therefore, it's ingrained in us. It just happens to be stronger in certain people than in others, but it's all there for everybody. There is no like, oh, I can't hear stuff, or I can't feel stuff, or I can't visualize. No, it's not the truth. It's that you haven't gone there to yourself. You haven't trained your mind to discover that part of yourself. But it's not like, I personally don't believe that there's people that can't do it.
So when somebody tells you, because that has happened to me a lot, and a lot of the classes that I teach, I actually had one of my friends who's a client also, who said, "You can't teach that." And I was like, "Wait, I think that we all have it,
Of course.
but that we're trained to listen to the words and communicate verbally more than energetically." I know in other cultures, like in India, for instance, people speak very little. I mean, of course, I lived in a jungle. I'm not talking about like the big cities, but it's known. It's just known, and they don't have to use so many words. So the other thing I wanted to ask is like your experience with people because I know you've taken people on journeys and you've worked with people for a given amount of time in a sort of awakening process or doing Shambhala. What is Shambhala anyway?
Shambhala is another name for Reiki, pretty much, and it just has to the belief of the practitioner, it's just a bit more fine-tuned It's a little more, yeah. It's
More
just that.
detailed, right?
Yeah.
Because
It's.
so Reiki, it's a lot of just like clearing our own channel and sending energy, being a vessel to send energy. But with Shambhala, there's more
Yeah.
intricate
There's
things.
more coding. It's like being an energetic programmer.
Mm.
So you have to use a lot more visualization. You start, you know, it's pretty much like, I see it as a computer. It's like if you imagine the body being like a motherboard, with Reiki you pretty much try to heal this one part and then just kind of fill it up with this one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And with Shambhala you can, oh, this coding can go over here, this can go over here, we can put this together. Just more detailed. And with oh my god, I forgot the name of it, but with this highest source of it, Mahatma, the Mahatma energy um, behind it. So, but in regards to taking people through it, it's always, not always, there's always different, but the surrounding theme is, I don't know what this is, I'm interested, and then me just check this out. So you tell me what you can get out of this. So did you feel this? Did you hear that? Do you see this? Some people feel it. Some people hear it. Some people see it. Some people just like have this uncomfortableness that they don't know what it is. But it's always very, very different. To some manifest as heat. To some manifest as peace. To some they just see images of what it is. That's through the energy work. Through psychedelic work and substance work, it's a lot different.
So what I'm wondering is what you've seen in people, because what you just described is like there'll be different, you know, like for me it was like a ship. When a ship sinks, it's like little by little each of the corridors fill up with water. And that's how my psychic abilities sort of, it was like first it was through touching. Like I would remember people's bodies, and I saw on average 10 people a day, 6 days a week at this spa. And it would be like a year later, and I'd put my hands on them, and I could remember everything about them just from their feel, like the feel with my, with touching. And then after that got so, it was like I could do it, keep my eyes closed the whole time I'm working. And then it started to be an inner vision. And then it would be sound. And so it like little by little started filling up until it was, but I think that everybody has like their one predominant way. Like obviously for me, I can put my hands on a body with my eyes closed and go directly to the spots because it's like I see them and I feel them and I'm drawn to them automatically. So the other sense is it's taken me more time, like developing visualization and developing. So for somebody who's like sort of starting to creep in, because sometimes traumatic life events will kind of get us in there where we're like, what is this? Because now we're feeling energy. Why do you think that is during trauma that will seep into?
Well, in my opinion, is it's an energetic shift. When you are in a traumatic event, you don't act from your predisposition. You can be predisposed to a reaction because it brings you to the most instinctive reaction that you can have. So it has no framework to what it's doing. So therefore, it can open a new way of seeing, way of being that it wasn't before. Because before, we kind of try to be in control of what we're doing.
You program,
we control
right?
it. This is what I do. This is how I see it. But when something happens, there is this like kind of fresh explosion of moment. I call it a moment because that's where everything happens. It's in that moment. So the moment just expands and it takes you away from the idea that this is already done, that you're just like doing 1 and 2, and it just brings the freshness. And in regards to having this one thing that just happens, is also a self-defense mechanism of the mind to not bring it all at once, because it can be really hard to decode and to integrate when you experience a large expansion of consciousness at once. And I've experienced that with people that have had artificial expansion of consciousness and then not being able to deal with it, not have a way to integrate it, and then the mind shuts down, they're done, and then, you know, uh, they can't recover, really.
So that, okay, because I think when we get little by little, and that's what I would say my experience was,
Yeah.
that, you know, when I was little, I definitely could see things, and I had little friends that were
Mhm.
fairies, and I remember like playing with them. I remember what they looked like and all that. Then I had a traumatic event when I was 6 that made me grow up really fast, and then I didn't see anything for a really long time. Then I was 12, I had another traumatic event, and it was like again fully on, and it's terrifying, you know,
Yeah.
because you get used to a certain way of life, and then new energy comes in, and it's like kind of shocking. So, and then we're young, you know, but as you know, this last portion of my life since I lived in San Diego, I've had like good chunks, but a time to integrate it.
Mhm.
And during the times where new information was coming in, um, I didn't do any artificial things. I was mostly focusing on using yogic techniques
Mhm.
that are meant to attune the body to what's
Mhm.
happening with the energy.
Yeah.
And what I have seen somebody, only one person, but I know you've had more experiences with watching somebody get a massive amount of information and their body cannot hold the energy. And actually, a shamanic practitioner locally who I was working with was really, you know, I was on the edge because I was getting massive amounts of information at a period of time that was really traumatic for me. And that was something that we fully worked on, was like tonifying the body, energy body, to hold the new amount of energy coming in. And now it's just a daily practice for me that I'm constantly clearing my I call it my light tube in my middle, my spine area, and clearing that out. So, and not, I don't want people to get scared. You know what I mean? Because even in India, I saw people, I did see people lose it. You know, working with prana and energy.
Yeah, it's natural.
Yeah, but not to get scared. So I want to ask you, the people that you've seen, and what, like from your perspective, what was their sort of feedback to you that, you know, when they, I don't even know how to call it, like they wake up. I guess that's the term we're using, right?
Yeah. Um, what I see is what I define when somebody has, for example, a waking, which is complete, not related to enlightenment at all. I want like discriminate that again because a lot of people confuse those two things.
Mm.
Oh, you're enlightened or you're awake or what they make it seem like it's the same thing. For me, it isn't. What I believe to be a wakefulness state is the state of um, base knowledge and practice that this physical world is simply an aspect of a non-physical world from which all things come from and return to. So anything that's in this world is simply the experience, the physical experience of something else. So then that is wakefulness to me and my, so then nothing in this gets constricted to this is it or only that is it and there's only that. No, it isn't. It's a both. It's this is happening because that's happening and there's waves that are moving in a way that makes it be happening at the same time. So that it to me is wakefulness. With that knowledge, people can do whatever they want to do. They can do absolutely nothing. They can simply go about their life like nothing happened. It's just an understanding that when things are happening to you and are happening around you, there is not only this physical solution to it or this physical cost to them, but that you have internal access to the non-physical experience that is interconnected to the moment, to the physical experience that you're happening. So some people take it, for example, a lot of financial people, people who are very wealthy in the corporate world, they understand that the physical world and the non-physical world are completely connected. So they use tools to connect non-physically to their power source, to their abundance, to their wealth, and they bring it to this physical world. Completely not spiritual, not enlightened, not trying to be good for the benefit of the world or nothing. It's simply that. Other people do the complete opposite. They understand that through their inner work of clearing themselves from karmic patterns and from non-shareable thoughts, meaning egocentric thoughts, by releasing them from that, they can help the whole consciousness that we share, the human consciousness, and they simply just do that in a cave by themselves, simply for the benefit of the world. So the amount of possibilities that you have simply by understanding that concept, it's infinite and it's yours. You know, there's no requirement as to what you have to do with it. It's your own calling. See?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anything else that, well, one thing I did want to say about awakening is that I almost feel like it's the same thing from waking up from a dream in the morning. You know, when you wake up, it it's like that too. You know, you fully believed what was happening in the dream. Like in the moment you're dreaming, it's real. It's really real. You're really, you know, being chased by a dog. I had this dream. I was being chased by a dog, and then I stopped running and looked at the dog, and the dog called me a beast. I was like, oh. And it was totally real, you know. But then when I woke up and I was like, oh my God, that wasn't real. And here I am. And then I go out and I do my day, but then I'm thinking like, this isn't real either, you know? Like which one is real? And because it's just a state of mind, you know?
It's an experience. The only thing that is real is your experience. So however you experience it, wherever you experience it, it doesn't matter. What is reality in the physical world? It's simply a translation of energetic waves through the brain that translate that into concepts that make it seem like it's real. But in in scientific purposes, our bodies, there's 99% space, our atoms are flowing, there's nothing real about this at all.
Okay.
But the same thing with the non-physical experiences. They are lived, they are experienced. You can wake up from a dream sweating. Okay, you can wake up from a dream experiencing physical pain because it's still just your point of consciousness is experiencing, and that's what the universe is about. It's not about reality, it's about experience. And because that's what keeps, you know, there's no certain reality, but there's definitely experience. You know, so there's that. People start questioning what they experience against what is real, and that's not the right way. It's decoding your experience to your learning, and you can learn from any experience, whether it's physical, non-physical, and that's the point, in my opinion.
Okay, well, let's end here. I have like another group of questions I want to ask you, but let's use that on the next topic. And cool. All right, so thank you so much. I look forward to connecting with you soon.